We can learn a whole lot from Genesis chapter 1 and the creation account about God, which is, you have to believe, why he inspired it. Only things were recorded in the Bible that were important for our salvation. And to understand who God is and why he does the way things he does and the way he does them, that's important for us to know. And there's several important points that are communicated about God in Genesis chapter 1. The first thing that, as we read through Genesis 1, that I think you have to grasp is that God is a God of power. How does he go about creating all of the things which he creates in this world? He does so simply by speaking it, simply by his own word, right? And even today, if somebody can just speak something and it happens, they're a pretty powerful person. When you can just speak and it's authoritative and other people scurry around to obey your commands, and that's control and that's authority and that's power. And when God can do that simply to his creation, living and inanimate objects, and it just has to do whatever he wants, he's clearly an authoritative, powerful God. The second thing that I think we learn is that God is a God of order. Those days of creation have a rhyme and a rhythm and a purpose about them. It's very fascinating. If you think it's kind of a three-tiered system. And the first day, remember, he creates the raw material and the lights. On the fourth day, God creates the things that produce the lights, the heavenly bodies. On the second day, God creates the sky that separates the waters. And you think about it, 3 days later, God is going to produce the fish and the birds, the things that go in the sky and the things that swim in the waters. On the third day, God produces the dry land which emerges from the water and the vegetation. 3 days later, on the sixth day, God creates the land animals and humans who all eat the vegetation. There seems to be a specific flow and order and rhythm to the whole process. In addition to that, there's this little phrase on the end of each of the days when God creates something that's alive, and it says that these things reproduce according to their own kind. And that shows that God has a reason and a purpose and an order to things. It's not going to be a random or chaotic kind of world. You're not going to have a monkey reproducing with a elephant or whatever else possible combinations you want to throw together there. And then giving birth to some other weird kind of animal. There's going to be a specific purpose and function for every living creature on the planet. Because God is a God of order, and he does nothing arbitrarily or capriciously. He does everything with purpose and reason behind it. The third thing that we learn is that God is a God of wisdom, and all you have to do is examine creation in order to figure this out. Whether you're talking about the human body, whether you're talking about even something like photosynthesis, where both humans and animals and plants are dependent on the sun, but for different reasons, and they're all symbiotic and mutually beneficial to each other. The plants take in the sunlight and they give off oxygen, and humans take that oxygen and need that, and they give off carbon dioxide, which the plants then need, and it's just all, whatever you want to call it, but the big ecosystem and plan and perfect harmony of life, even in a sinful world today. But it's just this brilliant, brilliant creation. The human body is probably the most fascinating part of it all the different systems of the body, what it's capable of, regenerating tissue, and all the nerve receptors that send signals to the brain, as a stimulus, and that sends signals down to the body, and it works together with ligaments and bones and muscles, and all at the same time without even thinking about it. It's just absolutely fascinating. Clearly, God is a brilliant creator, and you see he's got to be there. He's got to be there. It's part of just the simple knowledge of the world. When I look at a painting on a wall, I assume that there's intelligence behind that, because I don't assume that those paint colors just got randomly assembled to look like something that I might recognize. I assume the intelligence behind it. That's what's called intelligent design. If I see a painting, I realize there's got to be a painter. If I look at a building, I don't assume the blocks randomly assemble themselves on top of one another. I realize there's got to be a builder. As I examine creation and see the intelligence behind it, I realize there's got to be a creator. The fourth thing that we understand for sure is that God is a God of love. Remember, He creates the world, and after each day He says it is very good, right? And so He creates a perfect world, and then He hands it all over to Adam and Eve as this super generous gift and says, I want you to fill the world and enjoy all the blessing behind it and use it for your benefit and subdue the earth. Clearly a generous and loving God. And the fifth main point that I want you to understand is that according to the Genesis 1 account, God is a God of communication. And to figure that out, all you have to ask is who was there recording all of this? Humans weren't alive until the sixth day, so that means that God is eventually going to have to tell human beings where they came from and how this came about. Again, if the first 5 books of the Bible are written by Moses, clearly Moses is one for sure that God had spoken to directly to let him know what all happened on each of the days. He very well could have just spoken it to Adam and Eve as well, and they passed it down by kind of oral tradition from generation to generation, but certainly to Moses. And there was no doubt about what happened and where mankind came from, because God knew human beings would be curious. So God clearly is a God of communication. He gives us everything that's necessary for us to know. He doesn't answer every idle speculation in the Bible. I might not figure out how to fix the engine in my car by reading the Bible. That's not why it's designed. It's designed to make us wise for salvation through faith in Jesus. But knowing who this God is and where we came from and what He's done for us, that's really important information, and information that we don't want to compromise whatsoever.